There were many religious teachers in India at the time. Alara Kalama was one of the best and most well-known. Gautama went to learn under him. He stayed and learned a variety of skills, including meditation. He put in a lot of effort and eventually caught up to his teacher in terms of learning. Alara Kalama finally said to Gautama, "You and I are the same person right now. There isn't any difference between us. Stay here and educate my students in my place." Gautama, on the other hand, was not interested in staying. Despite everything he had learned, he realized that he was still vulnerable to old age, illness, and death, and that his search was far from done. As a result, Gautama left Alara Kalama in search of a new teacher. Finally, he discovered another brilliant teacher, Adaka, who was well known for his cleverness. Gautama, once again, picked things up fast and soon knew as much as his master. He discovered that Adaka could not tell him how to avoid sorrow, old age, or death, and that he had never heard of anyone who could. Once again, the ascetic Gautama was dissatisfied, so he left Adaka and decided to battle alone until he discovered the source of all life's sorrow. After leaving his second teacher Adaka, Gautama met 5 companions Kandana, Badiya, Thapa, Mahanama, and Asaji, who had also abandoned the palace and a life of luxury to become ascetics, or students of life, living in poverty. They traveled to Uruvela, where Gautama struggled and tortured his body for 6 years, as his 5 companions supported and cared for him. Gautama thought to himself, "I shall carry austerity to the furthest. This is how one gains wisdom." He fasted, which was regarded to be one of the most effective ways to gain insight. He survived on a grain of rice a day for a while, then nothing. His legs became as thin as bamboo sticks, his backbone as a rope, his chest as an incomplete roof of a building, and his eyes sank right inside, like stones in a deep well. His skin turned black after losing its color. In fact, he resembled a live skeleton, with only bones and no flesh. Despite the fact that he was in excruciating pain and hunger, he continued to meditate. Another technique of tormenting his body was to hold his breath for an extended period of time, until he had severe pains in his ears, head, and entire body. He then collapsed to the ground, unconscious to his surroundings. During the full and new moons, he walked out into the forest or to a cemetery to meditate, dressed in rags from graveyards and garbage dumps. He was first terrified, especially when wild animals approached, but he never left. He courageously remained in these horrible places, meditating the entire time. He did these practices for 6 years and, despite the tremendous pain and suffering, one day, while meditating alone, he fainted. When a shepherd boy with a goat noticed that Buddha had passed out, he fed him warm goat's milk. Siddhartha regained consciousness and began to feel better after a short time. He realized that he would have died before reaching enlightenment if it hadn't been for the boy's help. Gautama began eating properly after that. His health recovered, and he realized that asceticism was not the path to enlightenment. His 5 companions, on the other hand, continued their ascetic routines. They left Gautama because they thought he had become greedy.